This is going to be your third crack at this. Is that right?
Yeah.
Then I think I am ready. Gualtieri, are you ready? All right. Beep number one.
So, beep number one. I was feeling positive. I had a body high. The way I describe it here is like it's like my skin is vibrating with positivity. Again, really hard to place words to these sensations. And then I had an inner speech with lip movement. And then I have a sentence here which was the inner speech, which was just what end screens do I need? But generally just a very positive sort of body high experience.
So is the most salient thing to you then the bodily high thing as opposed to the inner speech?
Probably the inner speech more.
And by more 60-40, 90-10, 70-30?
Say 70, 30, 65, 35.
Okay. Well, let's start with the inner speech. So I am saying this to myself,
Yes.
and the words were what kind of a screen? I didn't hear that.
What end screens? Just related to a video.
What end? END end
Ends.
screens?
Yes.
Okay. And and so I understand myself to be saying what end screens do I need?
Yeah.
And I feel my lips moving.
Yeah.
And would you say I feel my lips moving as part of the original experience, so that I'm saying what end screens do I need, and at the same time I feel my lips moving, or the alternative to that is I'm saying that, and then when I look back, I can say, well, my lips are moving,
I'm pretty sure I have an experience of the physical touch of the lips moving rather than cognitive awareness of it.
and at the moment, and to have that physical sense of it while you're speaking it.
I believe so.
Okay. And is there anything more about that aspect of your experience?
I don't think so. I don't think the words appear in my mind at all, which I kind of thought they did before starting out, which is kind of maybe an interesting observation. But I seem to just be reading it, moving my lips, and in my mind, I don't see the words, or there's no ticker taper, or there's no sentence moving across in any way. It's just saying and a lip movement.
Okay. And you said reading the words. Are you reading these words somewhere?
Yeah. No, no, I would have been talking to myself.
Okay. So there
No, it's
wouldn't
not
be
on the
there
screen.
wouldn't be any words to be read. So
No,
what you're saying is that at the moment of this beep, I'm saying these words, and
in my head.
there's the body thing, and we're going to get to that in a minute. But as far as the words are concerned, that's the only thing there is in this experience. I am saying to myself, what end screens do I need?
Yeah.
And as
And
I
it's not,
say
it's
that,
not out loud.
say that again.
Like it's not out loud. I'm not
Yeah.
actually speaking out loud, just to
Okay.
clarify it.
Got it. And as I say that, I feel slight movements in my lips,
Yeah.
and I think I'm good about that aspect. Gualtieri, are you happy with that?
Can I ask a clarification?
Sure.
And I'm trying to try to do better than last time here. Um, is it more like the words are just flowing out of you or flowing inside of you? Or is it more like you are intentionally speaking to yourself? Like, do you have a experience of the intentionally speaking, or is it something that's just happening in your mind?
Hmm. I think it's just happening in my mind, but I'm not sure I would be able to differentiate between those two if it's intentional or flowing. My sense is that there's nothing much intentional about it, that it's just the flow of my experience.
Thank you.
So let me ask a slightly broader question about that. So So I'm understanding that what you're saying, Evan, is that I don't have a separate intention. I don't feel an intention and then the words come. It's not that. But do you feel yourself to be sort of the driver of the words? I feel myself to be asking myself a question.
Definitely. Like I'm asking myself a question to set up the work that I have to do in the hour. So I guess in that sense, there is maybe if that's what you meant by intention, then maybe that I do have that intention.
So there is an implied intention or an understood intention, but not a in, separable intentional experience. Is that fair?
Think so.
Because it does happen. The word I can recall it more in outer speech than inner speech that sometimes words happen and I don't feel myself to have been creating them at all. So, for example, when people speak, very often they gesture, they use hand motions and something, and most of the time when they are so speaking and so gesturing, they don't feel the gesture at all. The gesture is happening, the gesture is
Right.
flowing out of them, and it's meaningful in the sense that it's underscoring this or whatever. But you could say that that gesture is just rolling out of them.
Right.
Sometimes the speaking is that way as well in the outer world. The words come out, and they come out in sort of the way a gesture comes out. Like I don't feel myself to be creating these words, but the words are rolling out of me, sort of as in a reaction to the situation. So I do in the external world make a distinction between words that I seem to be intentionally driving. I'm the meaningful creator of these words, and words that just seem to be rolling out of me gesturally.
Interesting distinction. Okay. I don't know if it's a distinction I've ever made in my mind. In that case, I would say that there was a bit more intention to it because I was setting myself up to work. So I was saying, what end screens do I need? So there's clearly intention to the result of what I'm saying.
Okay.
It's an interesting
So
distinction to think about.
yeah, the words rolling out is a strange phenomenon, but I'm pretty confident that that actually does sometimes happen.
Right.
It
Gualtier.
definitely happened to me when I was doing the DES. There were many times when I just was, the speech, like, especially overt, because I don't even remember having any inner speech, but I had overt speech because I was talking to the dog or to myself or something. A lot of the times it was just flowing out. It wasn't, there was no planning or intending or, making it happen. It was just happening on its own, so to speak. That was the experience I was having.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. But then at other times, I did feel like, I was uttering such and such, even just a sound. Like I was the producer of that. That was
Right.
part of the experience.
Interesting. I'm not sure if I've ever noticed that distinction before, but it's an interesting one.
You almost need a beep to be able to notice that.
Yeah.
So Gualtiero, are you happy? So let me, I guess what I would understand Evan to be saying, these were intentionally created words, even though I don't have a separate understanding of intention. I'm the driver of these words.
Yes.
And was that the question that you were trying to get answered?
Yes. Thank you.
All right. Then there was the body portion.
Yes.
And I'm understanding you to be saying that the body vibrating, whatever, was present to me at the moment of the beep. It's not just something that I can look back and say, well, my ass is in the chair and my feet are on the floor or whatever, and I can feel that stuff. But this is present to me at the moment of the beep. Is that true?
As confidently as as I think so, right?
Okay.
Like,
Okay. And and when you say my skin was vibrating, I feel my skin vibrating. Do you mean that more or less literally, as terms of I feel some kind of a
no, I don't. It's not literal. It's very much that I just don't know what words to ascribe to like a body positive sensation. Like even right now. Like I just feel positive, like that my like I feel good, and it does feel like it's from the body, but I don't really know what words are best to describe that experience.
Okay. And is by body do we mean skin? It's my skin feels positive.
Doesn't feel localized to the skin. If anything, it feels more localized to the underlying muscles because I guess it's probably related to fit, like exercise for rationalizing, but like I'd say muscles more so than skin.
Okay. So there's some bodily high happy body sense or something which we're not capable, might not be possible to put into words, but something I am experiencing my body positivity,
Definitely.
which seems to be below the skin, maybe, but not in my core. This is not about my heart or my. Is that true that this is the in the muscular region outside the core and inside the skin?
I think everything you said there is true. Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe I'll get better at actually describing with words that, but yeah, everything you said there is true.
Okay. Well, Thierry, you have any helpful questions about that?
I don't think so. Good.
And as for whether we'll get better at it, we'll see. It is the case that some things are just not possible to put into words,
Yeah.
and this might
Like,
be one of them.
like I'm not sure if even having more words is better at describing it. I don't really know if that's the case.
Yeah.
When I was writing, just my skin vibrating was the most appropriate metaphor, but it wasn't literal. It wasn't meant to be literal.
And it wasn't about the skin, and it wasn't about vibration,
Right,
and
exactly.
that's what makes what makes all communication difficult.
Yes, you proved how important you are there because most of what I actually wrote down was not really what that experience, because you're right that it wasn't really about my skin, I don't think.
Right. It is, and that's why I pretty adamantly refer to what we do as a first person plural event. It's we, not I.
Right.
And the verb error is describe, not report. Your report sucked in the sense of in the sense of if if we were to look at just the words, there's a lot of psychology that's out there taking reports and trying to understand what the reports mean. Well,
Right.
your report isn't any good,
Yeah,
and
it's
that
terrible.
is not a criticism of Evan. That is why this endeavor is a we endeavor rather than an I endeavor.
It's a very good point. Like if I just gave you these notes, you would have came up with entirely wrong
Ab-
conclusions from them.
that's exactly right.
Yeah.
Totally right. And that's not peculiar to Evan. That's not Evan's failing.
Yeah.
It's it's careful understanding or whatever. All right. So did we start with number two? I forget.
No, that was just number one.
All
We
right.
haven't got to
Let's
it yet.
let's do number two.
So beep two again. So the experience was speaking in my mind, John Joe end screen. And then I had a strong purple visual experience. So just prominently in my visual field, I have awareness of purple because of my lights for filming are purple. It wasn't that I was hallucinating purple, just for
Okay. And are these equal parts of your experience, or one more than the other?
it's really tough to say when you're comparing different experiences and they're
Right.
competing for your awareness in different
Uh,
ways.
100%, 100% is fine with me if that's the way it seems like to you.
Yeah, sort of equal, roughly.
Okay. All right. Well, let's start with the purple. Tell me some more about that.
Basically, just the hue and the specific color of the purple was prominent in my awareness. And I don't think there's anything much more to that.
as an external feature that my I'm seeing purple in the external world, or does it seem like I am somehow internalizing purple, innerly apprehending purple?
Experiencing purple in the outside world.
Okay. And the and uniform purple.
No, kind of a little bit of a gradient. So I do notice a like a darker purple at the bottom of the shade, and then as it goes up my visual field, it's a little bit less dark. So there's definitely a bit of a gradient to the purple hue.
Okay. And I'm interested in your experience, not in what's in the external world, so that I don't really care whether there's something in the external world with a gradient or not. The question is whether, in your experience, I'm experiencing gradient.
Yes, I think I was.
Okay. So that gradient is from bottom to top, I guess, darker from at the bottom and lighter at the top, or does it seem like it's from the top to the bottom, I guess, but lighter at the top and getting darker? Is there a movement to this gradient, or just a?
I think it's only very, very slight, but slightly more dark at the bottom than up at the top of them.
Okay. And how about left to right? Is there uniform left to right?
It's roughly similar in my
Okay.
memory.
And encompassing your entire visual field?
No, kind of in the center of it, but it was my periphery wasn't as purple, but what was dragging what my awareness was on in that moment was the purple.
So does that mean that there was purple in my awareness, but I'm just not paying attention to it? Or it's not that articulated to me, but it's not like it's not like there's edges to it. There's no border that says this part is purple and this part is not.
Yeah, there's no borders, but I was only sort of focused on, I would say, a quite a central part of my visual field being purple rather than the whole room.
Okay. And 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 we're talking about this as if it's the color. I'm not interested in an object being purple. I'm interested in the color itself. Is that true?
Mind restating what you mean by that?
Well, let me ask: is there something in your environment that is the way we have described this? There's a
Yes.
screen or something which is purple,
Yeah, there's the wall because I have a purple light. Yeah.
and so do I experience myself as looking at the wall, as seeing the wall, and now when I'm describing the wall is has a purple gradient to it? Or does it seem like I am seeing the purple and the fact that it's on the wall doesn't really matter to me? This is about the purple.
Yeah, second option.
Okay.
The wall is not relevant in that at all.
So in a sense, I've abstracted away the purple
Yes.
and forgotten the wall or whatever the wallness of it isn't
Yes.
important. And do I see the purple the way the purple actually is, or have I enhanced it or altered it or?
I would have to counter that and say that there's no such thing as the purple as it actually is. No, from a perception perspective,
So
I,
I,
I
I totally understand that, and I totally agree with that. But that's not my question. My question is the purple of your experience the same purple as when you do look at the wall? You can say, well, there really is a wall out there, and my light's purple and whatever. When I look at the real wall with the real purple on it, is the purple the same?
I would think so.
Okay.
I would think so.
So what I'm understanding us to be saying here is that at the moment of the beat, my eyeballs are aimed at the wall, and
Yes.
I'm no doubt processing what's coming in through my eyeballs about the wall, but I'm not really seeing the wall part of it. What I am doing is I'm seeing the purpleness, which incidentally happens to be of the wall, but that's not part of my experience.
Yes. That's exactly right. You're very good at finding distinctions that I don't think about. I guess that's what 50 years doing this will do.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
there's a lot of different ways it can be. People can see purple. I worked with a person not too long ago, actually. Might even be Gualtiero. I'm not even sure about that. But who saw like colored Gansfeld kind of things, and
Interesting.
I can't remember who this person was, but I think it was a female person. I have to think about it, but she would see like a like a Pepsi can. And the Pepsi can, and there was like a Pepsi can on the desk, and the Pepsi can has the blue whatever of the that Pepsi cans are. But she didn't see the can. She saw a blue. She had an inner visualization of the same color of blue that was the Pepsi can blue, but it wasn't like coming from the Pepsi can. It was a created blue, 100% going side to side and whatever. Like she was seeing a blue. Her experience was pretty much like a Gansfeld kind of a deal.
Interesting. Yeah, yeah. Very
But
interesting.
that's not what you're reporting, as I understand it. You're reporting is I'm seeing in the external world, but
Yeah.
I'm seeing I'm seeing the color of it rather than the thing of it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
Right? And then at the same time, I'm innerly speaking something,
Yeah.
but I didn't get what you said you were inner speaking.
John Joe end screen.
Okay. And the experience of that is
This time I didn't have any lip movements, I don't believe, or it wasn't in my awareness. So just inner speech. No seeing the words, just I don't know how you'd phrase it, an awareness of inner speech.
okay. And is it more I'm feeling that I'm speaking these words rather than hearing them, for example? The distinction there is like talking into a tape recorder. It's more like talking into the tape recorder rather than hearing the tape recorder played back. In the real world, those are very different things. In the experiential world, they're not necessarily different. They might be, but they don't have to be.
I'd say speaking into a tape recorder versus hearing it back. But hearing it back is somewhat divorced from the action of producing it. I think speaking into it.
Okay. That I would say that's the difference that people frequently say is that if I feel like I'm producing these words in the manner of speaking, then I would say I'm innerly speaking it. If there's no question that you're producing those words. It's not I'm inserting those words into your experience or whatever. You're creating these words. There's no question about that. But the question
Yeah.
is whether you create them in the manner of speaking or create them in the manner of hearing, or that distinction doesn't matter, doesn't make sense.
Doesn't make sense to me at the moment, but it'd be more leaning towards speaking.
Okay. Okay. Then I think I'm good about that. Well, let me ask this: Is in the first beep you were talking about what end screens do I need,
Yeah.
and other than and that one had lip movement, and this one doesn't. Other than that,
Yeah.
do these seem like the same kind of experience? Words are different, obviously, but
Um, I would say that without the lip movement, it's less prominent. The lip movement is more engaged, and that's more prominent in my awareness than in beep two when I was speaking. It was a bit more calm, and not necessarily that something else was occupying that percentage awareness, but I think beep two there was just less experience than in beep one, which was more sort of energized and there was more in it. If that makes sense.
so I'm sort of more involved in the first beep
Yeah.
speaking and less
Yeah,
involved
more
in the
animated.
speaking.
Yeah, more animated in beep one.
Okay. And does animated seem like a characteristic of the speaking or the characteristic of Evan who happens to be speaking? That might not be a good question, but like you can speak with an animated voice, and you can say, well, it's the characteristic of the speaking that was animated.
I'd say it was a characteristic of me,
Okay,
of Evan in that moment.
okay. So I'm
Something in
more. Go ahead.
I was going to say something that's really interesting beep to beep is that the content of your experience can be so different. You could, and not just different, but differ in quantity. So you can have a very experiential beep, and then the next beep, you're just like, I wasn't really aware of much, or I wasn't really experiencing much. It's not like you're just constantly going through life at a constant flow of experience. It's just that the experience is different.
I think that's right.
Yeah.
And I also think that it almost requires a beep to be able to recognize that. It's really tough
Yeah.
because if you're in the armchair introspection mode or whatever, to say, well, I'm interested in what my experience is like, let me take a look. When that puts you in the particular mode, when in whatever mode that is, it puts you in it when you're asking that question, and then the experience that you see is mostly all the same, the kind of thing that you see in that mode.
Yes.
But when you get a random beep that comes from, it's not so much that it's random, it's not so much that it's beep, but that it comes from the outside. It says, we got to look at your experience now.
Yeah.
Then
Right.
it's more noticeable. The
Yeah.
distinctions between kinds of experiences more noticeable.
Yes. Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Gualtier, are you ready to move on?
Yes, thanks.
Number 3.
So again, a prominently visual experience. I remember not taking in any single element or reading, just a prominent visual experience of lots of white. Interesting enough. So looking at my computer screen, but not looking at anything in particular, but just the white being very prominent, and then feeling like a little hot and sweaty on my body.
And by a little hot and sweaty, do you mean a little bit of my experience is aimed at being hot and sweaty, or do you mean there's just a little bit of hot and a little bit of sweatiness?
I would say that this one is a little bit of both in that I'm cognitively aware that I'm a little bit hot and sweaty and the sensation of having a little bit of stickiness on my skin from the a little bit of layer of sweat.
Okay. And so there's visual experience and hot and sweaty experience. Are those equally prominent?
No, I think 80/20.
80 to the visual.
Yeah.
So let's start with that. So the visual, I'm seeing my computer screen on which there's a bunch of stuff, but what I am attending to is the white,
Yeah. Interesting.
which is if I'm picturing computer screens, is basically you're seeing what's not being presented on the computer screen. Is that right?
What do you mean by I'm seeing what's not being presented on the? Oh
The
yeah, where
white,
there is the thing, right? Dead space, I guess.
yeah.
Yeah.
Your interest is in what is not being displayed for your interest or whatever, something like that. It's the
That's a yeah, totally strange but probably accurate way of phrasing
okay.
it. Yeah.
Okay. And does it seem like it's the whiteness? Like, is it like sort of like a color, the color whiteness? The
Yeah.
whiteness.
I don't know why, but yeah.
Okay. And does it seem like the whiteness is present to me more or less the way the was present to me in the previous beep? I'm
I'd say similar. Like it is a prominently about the color
okay.
rather than anything else,
Okay.
which is interesting. I didn't make the connection and the similarity. Interestingly, when I was writing those notes, I didn't connect that those were possibly similar.
That is interesting. And one of the things that's interesting about that, as an aside, is that a lot of people have frequent one. So the two beeps that you just described are what I call sensory awareness. Maybe the first one as well, but bodily. So sensory awareness, from my point of view, is paying attention to some sensory aspect of the environment, inner or outer, but not for its instrumental value, but for its sensory interest.
Yes.
So here I'm interested in the whiteness for the whiteness sake, not because it's a computer screen or not because it's a background or whatever, but just for the whiteness.
Yeah.
And what I started to say about that is that many people don't realize that they do that, and even though they do it a lot, and you might very well be in that category. you both that you do it a lot, and and B that you didn't know that you did it a lot
Right.
prior to sampling.
It is a funny one though, because you kind of phrased it perfectly. Like the computer screen is presenting me lots of information, and what was in my awareness was none of that. I'm just literally the color of the dead space.
Right. And that, well, that is there. So there are two things that are interesting about that. One is that well, I guess I'm on an armchair introspection rant or something, but it's hard to find that kind of thing when you're setting out to look for it. But the other thing is that you did not notice the similarity between I'm seeing the
Yeah.
color white and I'm seeing the color purple.
Yeah.
When that seems like sort of obvious to
It does seem kind of obvious when you say it, yeah.
yeah. And that I think is remarkable. And
Yeah.
I'm not exactly sure why that's remarkable, but it is. And
Yeah.
but not that unusual.
Yeah, no, it's cool. It's interesting. Wouldn't have said that beforehand that I'm a prominent that my visual experience would be prominently color. If you were to get me to gamble, I would have said I'm more interested in the thingness of the thing rather than the color of the thing.
Right? Doesn't look that
We'll
way.
see how the future beeps.
Right. And for sure, I would say let's not allow us to fall into the trap of thinking, well, we got to find more of this sensory awareness stuff going forwards.
Yeah, yeah,
It's all right. Then, so there, I'm a little hot and sweaty.
yeah.
Not a big deal to my experience. 20-ish of my experience. And is this more a feeling, a sensation of hot and sweaty, or a cognition of it is a fact that I am hot and sweaty?
Yeah, I would say it's about 50-50 here in the 20. So 10-10, you could
Okay.
call it of being aware that I'm hot and sweaty and just having that sensation as well.
Okay. So what I don't want to talk us out of that, but I want to recognize that it is possible to notice hot and sweaty without thinking about it. And it's
Yeah.
also possible to notice hot and sweaty and think about it. Either one of those things is possible.
And it could have been any of those, but I think it was both.
Okay. And are we talking about a particular part of my body that's hot and sweaty?
I think legs and feet prominently more so than upper body. So I guess lower body.
Okay. So I am noticing that my lower body is a little bit hot and sweaty. And maybe I'm thinking about that, and maybe I'm just noticing it. We're not going to take a stand on that at this
Yeah.
particular moment. Seems like both, but we're not too sure.
Yeah.
Then I think I'm good about that. Guantier, are you happy about that?
Yeah.
Number 4.
So this one came very quickly. So I was actually writing down my experience for Beep 3 when Beep 4 came, saying the words in my head as I wrote, noticing the touch sensation of the pen in my fingers, so pressing against my fingertips as I write.
So, two aspects. I'm writing and saying what I'm writing and noticing the fingertip sensation. Is that right?
Yeah, there's kind of a sensate. Yeah, yeah.
And as far as your experience is concerned, equally prominent?
I would say probably more to the words 65-35 or 70-30,
Okay.
maybe even 80, to be honest. But it's hard to compare words to touch. It's
Okay.
like it's like multiplying apples and oranges.
Yep, I
It's
agree.
hard.
So I agree with that, I don't want to hold us to the numbers. I don't really care about the numbers,
I
but
understand.
70, 30, 65, 35, whatever. I understand you to be saying it seems like I'm sort of more prominently into the words than into the fingertip sensations. But the fingertip sensations aren't just a minor thing; they're sort of present to me. That's
Yeah,
that's we could say that, but I think 65, 35, 70, 30 conveys that sort of
Yes.
straightforwardly or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I am saying in words what I am writing.
Yes.
And what is that?
I actually didn't write down what the exact words were that I was writing for
Okay, I don't really care
beep
about that.
three. Yeah.
But I'm so what I've written about beep three is probably something like whiteness. I'm saying something about whiteness and writing it down. Or I'm writing that down and saying it while I write.
Yeah. When it kind of happened, I was surprised because it was so quickly after beep three, and then I half writ through beep three, and I was like, I wrote beep four, and then went back to beep three. So it was a bit of a back and forth on those two.
Okay. So I would say as an aside that I sometimes say that a beep that comes while talking about another beep is too confusing, and we probably just ought to skip it.
Sure.
But given that we don't have any other beeps to talk about really today, we might as well.
I thought I had
So,
some, like, there was a little bit of a surprise, but I think that I had like awareness of the experience in that moment of both.
okay,
So I think it wasn't a tarnished beep.
okay. So the experience of writing, that portion of this experience has been said so far to be about the writing, not about the thing written. So it is not that what we have said so far, and I'm trying to find out whether we've just omitted this by mistake, is we haven't really said anything about the previous beep. That the experience of the previous beep was seeing the whiteness and the sweatiness and whatever. That's not present to me. That this is a question. Is that present to me at the moment, or is it the fact that I have started to put this into words and it's really only the words that are present to me?
Right. Yeah, I don't think any of the things that were prominent in beep three were still prominent in beep four,
Okay.
which is also interesting.
So it's not like I'm holding in my conscious awareness, the experience of beep three while I write about it.
Right.
It's that I have somehow processed that, whatever that means, which I don't know, but whatever processing is done, and now I'm writing about it, and my
Yes.
experiences of the writing.
Yeah.
And is my experience more about the saying what I'm writing, or about the writing, which I'm also saying?
I would say more about the contents of the writing and saying the words in my head.
Are those two different things, or is that so?
Lay out the two things again.
So is it about the words that I am writing, or about the content that I am putting into words?
Okay, that's made it even more confusing.
Well, let's imagine what the words were. Tell me what your best guess as to what the words were that were.
I remember being halfway through, so it might be something like just prominent visual experience.
Okay, so I'm writing. Let's presume, for the sake of argument, that that's what I'm writing. It's just visual experience, unquote.
Yeah.
Okay. So my question is my experience of saying the words just visual experience while I am simultaneously writing them, but the writing of them isn't really prominent to me. What's prominent to me is the saying, the innerly saying the words just visual experience. Or, so that's one option. Another option is that somehow present to me is the meaning of just visual experience. And now I'm articulating those, but what's really present to me is what the meaning that's behind what I'm articulating. Or what's present to me is I am writing the words just visual awareness. That's the prominent thing. But while I'm writing, I'm also happen to be saying it. So that's at
I think
least
the last,
three different versions.
yeah. I think the last one, I don't think the meaning of the words was in any way prominent. It's more just writing the words and saying them. But I don't
So
think I was attaching anything to the words themselves.
okay. So I'm writing these words, and that's the prominent aspect of this is the action of the writing, the creation of the written word, I guess you would say. And part of that is the speaking of it, but that's somewhat secondary to the writing of it. and I would say what from my point of view, the conversation that we're having right now is I'm accepting that we're not going to be able to answer that about the beep that's passed about beep
Yes.
3.4. This is conversation that is designed to awaken things for future beeps or whatever. But
Right. Right.
so we're
I
making distinctions. The distinction is important going forwards, and I'm fully accepting that we're not capable of making the distinction going backwards.
yes. Yeah, I understand. I understand.
Okay.
I'm still unsure about how many words I should write out and like how often like how long I should really try and parse these things apart in the moment or just kind of doing it with you on the call. I'm a little because
I
I think
think
most of the words I write are wrong.
there's no way that I can answer that in general other than to
Yeah.
say what I would like you to do is to talk about your experience, the way your experience presents itself to you. And so if your experience was of writing the sentence, quote, just noticing the visual experience of these words as they appeared on the page. I don't know. If I feel myself to have been writing that whole sentence, then that's what the experience is. But if the experience is of just writing some portion of that, then I'm interested in the portion that you happen to be experiencing.
Right. Okay.
And I don't think that there's a black and white distinction between that. I think, it could be. Some people are very clear to be saying, I'm writing one word. This is the word that I'm writing. I'm into that word. And yes, I understand that word is a portion of the rest of the sentence, but that rest of that sentence isn't present to me. I'm noticing the word white, and that's it. Some people,
Interesting.
some people are
I don't
like
think
that,
I have that.
and other people would have it be a couple of words,
Yeah.
and other people would say, well, I can't really answer this question. I am in fact writing the word white, but I'm in the process of writing this whole sentence, and the whole sentence seems to be there, and white seems to be there. So I don't think there's a right answer to that question, except I think there's also wrong answers to that question. So,
Right. No, it makes sense. I think I understand the distinction.
okay. And then, so I'm good about the word aspect. You happy with that, Gualtiero?
Yeah.
Then there's the fingertip sensations.
Yeah.
Tell me more about that.
So just a tactile, the actual physical tactile feeling of the fingers on the pen, no cognitive awareness of the pen, or maybe a bit of cognitive awareness of the pen. I'd say it's mostly tactile sensation between the fingers and the pen, maybe a bit of cognitive awareness about the pen, but I don't think I'm actively thinking like I'm holding a pen.
Okay.
It's prominent experience is the actual feeling of the pen in my fingers.
And is that the the sensation of the pen? I feel the pen,
Yeah.
as opposed to I am feeling myself writing. That this is a sensation of the pen rather than the experience of manipulating the pen.
Yeah. First one.
Okay. So I am in fact moving the pen, and as I move the pen, I no doubt create these sensations. But that's not part of my experience. My experience is of the felt sensation.
Yes.
And is is that like smoothness or roughness or motion or
I think all I feel is pressure, a little bit of pressure as I clench the pen.
okay? And do you feel the pressure in any particular place? Finger, thumb,
Yeah, fingertips is what I say.
okay? And did you when you were writing, were you holding it between your thumb and finger? and yet I
Yes.
feel it in my finger. There's no doubt sensations, my the corpuscles or whatever in my thumb are no doubt firing just as is my fingers, but I feel my fingers. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So in this aspect of my experience, there's a whole lot of neurons being firing, motor neurons, sensation neurons, or whatever, but I am attending to the sensations of my
Mechanical
fingertips.
receptors. Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Then I think I'm good about that. Go out there. Are you good about that?
Yeah. Thanks.
Okay.
I think it's hard to know if there's an aspect of cognitive awareness of the pen or the writing. Whenever you mention it, I'm like maybe 5%, but then I'm also kind of doubting myself if that's just after the fact. Am I inventing the fact that I was cognitively aware of the pen or the writing? Like I'm sure that prominently it was the tactile sensation, but there might be a little bit of cognitive awareness in there, but it's hard to kind of tell.
Yeah. So I don't want to rule it out one way or the other.
Yeah.
What I think we've done, and we're about to do some work because I'm about to say something about it, but we are awakening the notion of sensory awareness. And I would notice that I think all four of these beeps involve some kind of sensory, what I would call sensory awareness. Like the one we're just talking about, the sensory awareness is of a bodily sensation, but that
Yeah.
still counts as sensory awareness as much as the color purple did and the color whiteness. So those were color sensations, which I was noticing the sensory aspect. But in this beep, I'm noticing the sensory aspect of my body. And in the first beep, there was the skin I would call, or the not what you said was skin, but it wasn't really skin. But the bodily
Yeah.
happy sensation was in the ballpark of sensory awareness as well.
Yeah. I actually did do try and do more varied experiences, but that's when I realized the beeper wasn't beeping. So I went to the shop and cooked, and then I realized I hadn't beeped in 2 hours, and I pressed it down to see if I get the square wave, and I didn't, and I was like, oh, that's a shame because I looked like an idiot for like 2 hours walking around and doing all these things with this this device attached to me, and I got nothing from
What a bummer.
it.
So, so, so what I would say is what we are awakening the notion of sensory awareness, and we're leaving open the possibility that sensory awareness seems to have some kind of a cognitive aspect to it. And maybe it doesn't, maybe it doesn't. But I think that might be easier to notice going forwards now that we've sort of recognized that one of the things that Evan does is pay attention to the sensory aspects of his environment, inner and outer, and
Yes.
and that might make it easier for you to detect whether there was a cognitive thing about that or not. And
Yes.
and I would say I'm not particularly interested in whether there's a cognitive thing or not. I'm sure that by some definitions of cognitive, the answer to that is yes,
Yeah.
and by other definitions of the cognitive, the answer to that is probably no. So the answer is what what appears in cognitives in Evan's direct what's important to me is what appears in Evan's direct experience, and if that involves thinking about it as well as the feeling of it, well, good. Then let's talk about that. But let's not
Yeah.
presume that there has to be, or that Russ thinks there would be nice that there would be, or whatever. That's
Yeah.
I don't really care one way or the other. The question is what's in Evan's
Yeah.
experience. So, shall we
I
do
do
this
have
again?
the 5 and 6 here that I did today with no earphone. So we can throw it out. We could talk
Well,
about it for
we
seven
could try. We
minutes.
could try one and see what happens. Let's look at one of those and see what happens.
So Beep 5 was a auditory and visual experience. So I was looking at the person on my screen, watching the transcript in my periphery. So this is a video editing software. So like looking at person with my main visual vision, and then some sort of text in my periphery, kind of blurred. I am hearing what he was saying, and I had a mild itch on my nose.
So it seems like there is sort of three or maybe four things going on. I see what's on the screen, predominantly the person, secondarily the words in the periphery.
Yeah.
And I'm hearing what he's saying, and I'm feeling an itch in my nose.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, just for the sake of argument, let's go to beep number 6, seeing as I've got 5 minutes left here. Tell me about beep number
Okay.
6.
So feeling really good, relaxed, chill, again, sort of a bodily feeling. And I had my left hand on my girlfriend's leg, and I was sort of noticing the softness of her skin. Again, it's sort of a tactile feeling of the softness, but overall a very bodily feeling again.
Okay. All right. So given what time it is, let's plot what we're going to do. What we're going to do next here. We're going to do this again. We agree we're going to do this again.
Yes, I'm having good fun. I feel like this week was a good one.
It's totally interesting to me. And so,
But if that doesn't arrive, do you think a beep is pretty worthless without the headphone? Say it arrives, and we can email back and forth on this, but if it arrives and I can't, for some reason, can't get it to work with any headphone, is
so
the
what I,
beep?
what I would say about that is, if you're going to order a headphone, why don't you do that sooner rather than later and try it?
I'll order it
And
right away.
if you've established that the jack is broken, then email me or text me or something like that, and we'll figure out a way to get you beeps in a different way.
Okay.
I think soft beeps coming out of that device is not good enough. So I think we can maybe do better than that. Are you an
Okay.
iPhone user or a
iPhone.
okay? So it is possible to use an iPhone, which is probably second best. But let's cross that bridge when we come with it. Get yourself
Yeah.
a headphone relatively soon, leaving
Yeah.
us time to debug something about what we're going to do if that doesn't work. And
Yep.
so order it now, get it tomorrow, the next day, and send me an email or a text or something, and
Yep.
let me
We'll
let me
do.
let me know whether it works. And if it doesn't work, then we'll figure out a way to make your iPhone work, which is pretty clunky, but probably better than using the onboard speaker.
Interesting. Okay. I think you're placing a lot more importance to that headphone that I would have intuitively sort of guessed or even now think there is, but you know what you're doing. So,
So what I think is, if you without the beeper, without the earphone, that it's too easy for you to accumulate things that are environment and make it seem like, well, they're part of my experience. Because while you're in
right.
the process of processing, well, is that the beep? Is that the beep? Is that the beep? You're also in the process of saying so. So in particular, the fifth sample that you got here was the most complicated sample that you've had today.
Right.
And I'm guessing that complication that's an artifact
Interesting.
of the undesirable beep, I would say.
Okay.
But I'm not sure about that. But what I would say we should do is to deliver a beep as good as we can do, so we don't have to worry about that.
For sure. Yeah, absolutely. I'll get right on it. I'll look for a headphone and then if I can't find one in the house, I'll order it by the end of the day.
Okay, sounds like a plan.
Good talk, gents.
All right, thank you very
Fun.
much.
Thank
See
you.
ya. See you next week.